Good morning. We are in our regular city council meeting this morning. It is Tuesday, April 9th, 2024. It's 9 a.m. and we're in the Public Works building. We're going to stand for invocation and pledge allegiance. Today.
I want to thank you again for another day and another opportunity, Lord, to serve you, hear your voice, and follow you. And Lord, we pray for your guidance today. Pray we'd hear your voice and follow only you, and that everything that's said and done would be for your glory and honor. We thank you for your blessings and just trust that you'll be with us today in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And call roll, please.
Mayor Miller,
Here.
Mr. Smith,
Here.
Ms. Hamilton,
Here.
Mr. Wolf,
Here.
Mr. Wiley is absent.
All right, so we also have our new city attorney with us today, Kim Sloan. Okay, consent agenda for March 12th minutes are in our packet. They have been reviewed. Does anybody have any changes? Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as they appear?
Motion to accept the minutes.
Second. All right. Well, we didn't have the motion, but all in favor? All right. Okay. You in favor, Jerry? Good. Thank you, sir. All right.
Sign late.
I like it. Yeah. Okay, scheduled appearance, employee of the month.
All y'all, please follow me.
All of them.
They all in trouble. This is a reverse employee of the month, I think, huh?
Good morning, Council Mayor. This morning, we're gonna do something a little different. I've been here 19 years, and I've never seen this, but I suggested this. This group of people, including January, who happens to be my secretary, Miss Glenn's secretary, have done an outstanding job. If y'all have been around to Under the Palms Park, you'll notice there's been a lot of renovations going on over there. And these 5 people standing here are the ones that are responsible for that. I can't say how much I appreciate what each and every one of these guys in January does every day. This is the hardest working team that you're ever going to see. They don't back away from anything they're asked to do. If you notice Sunset Park, the brand new flagpole down there, those guys went down there and installed that thing yesterday morning in about 10 minutes. It looks great. We're going to get a light on it hopefully by tomorrow, and the flag on it, and we've got 2 more coming for the other parts. But they're responsible. In January, even ordered a flagpole, so she's part of that also. So we've always joked about Under the Palms Park, Mr. Jerry, that's his part. Now that's going to kind of be Mr. Jerry's in January. So she's really done an outstanding job with it. So I want a little something to give these guys for their hard work. I do want y'all, if you haven't been around there, please go around and look at the park. We're still not through with it. We're fixing the blacktop, the walking track. They've got it all repaired, all the holes in it. We're fixing to do that, and we put out about 6 pallets of sod around the exercise equipment the other day, so all that looks really good. But if y'all get a chance, please go around there and look at that. First up, I'm going to do January. Ladies first. January, thank you. Full day off, employee of the month. Sorry guys, you only get 30 minutes. That's what it is. Josh, I didn't have these in order. So Josh, thank you. Full day off, buddy, for what y'all do. Next up is Aaron, thank you. Man, since you come on board, Jamie, Thank you. I know Randy's standing there, he's thinking to himself, am I gonna get to be employee of the month?
My
Randy?
guys need it, I don't.
That's right.
I'd rather than.
No, buddy, you're a leader, I appreciate all
Hang on. We got a big group here. Awesome, guys, thanks. Very well deserved, guys, very well deserved. That just cost me a lot of money, Tommy. You just cost me a lot, is that all right?
Mayor, they're working.
I know they are, every time, every time. Thank you, sir. All right, Ms. Moore, you're next on our agenda, chairperson of the Charter Review Committee.
Good morning, council. Some things have been brought to my attention from phone calls as well as some social media posts that I felt I needed some clarification on the number 2 referendum that has been a lot of talk in our community, which I think it should be. And it was the most discussed amongst our committee as well, the number 2 referendum. The committee did not propose that our mayor be appointed by the city council. We did not suggest or even include it in the referendum, provided a selection process of this nature. And there is no such verbiage in this referendum that is out there that will be the case. So we will still vote for and have a mayor. I just wanted to get that out there publicly. I do not post on other social media pages. I only post on the page that I moderate, and it was asked that I share this on other pages, and I chose not to. And so, you know, it's very complicated referendum. It's a complicated matter, and it's clear as mud. Our committee took a lot of time researching, and we put forth what we felt was the best option for the city and the residents to decide on referendum number 2. And so, honestly, I've even personally gone back and forth on which way to go on this. And it's been something that's tugged at my heart for the city and for myself personally. And I want everybody to remember that eventually we're all going to be at the same place, a city that we love by the sea. And I want us all to think about that when we go to vote next week. But I wanted to clear that up. There is no proposed anything that the council will be appointing a mayor in this referendum.
I appreciate you clarifying that.
Thank you.
That type of government normally does have an appointed mayor. Yeah.
Which type of government?
Oh, I'm sorry, the council administrator type. of
There are
government.
some cities that have chosen to go that route. That is correct, but that is not just because you vote that way does not mean that that is what it's going to be. It must be put in the charter that the council will be selecting the mayor as that process. And our committee talked very briefly about this, which is what led us to going, okay, do we want to do a 2-year term or a 4-year term? And we came down to the conclusion that 2 years is short enough, and 4 years was too long, and having a floating mayor like that would just cause too much anxiety, and we've already got enough. Our goal was to try and hopefully put forth a referendum that would give the citizens the option to choose that was somewhat clear as it could be, but not too muddy.
So with referendum number 2, can you let the citizens understand what really actually changes with that type of change from mayor, council to council?
From where we are now, mayor council with the strong mayor, basically. Should it go to a city administrator council form of government? The way I like to see it and the way it is are two different things.
We want to know how it is.
So, there could be, and it does, Let me think of how I want to put this. My apologies for pausing. The mayor still would be head of our city. They wouldn't be just a figurehead. You would still have authorities, you would still have things that you would be doing and responsible for, and the mayor, and I say you, whoever's sitting in your seat, would still have authorities of some. Those have not been spelled out. We did not go into all of that in our committee meeting. We did not get into the bowels, I guess is a good way of putting it, of the job descriptions of the mayor and the council members. That would be step number 2. We looked at this as a start of what could be. So that's what the citizens need to think of. Yes, keep things the way it is. Great. If you vote yes to make the change, then you're going to the change of the city government to be a council administrator. If you vote no, then you're leaving it as it is, with the mayor as the CFO and the CAO, the chief administrator. And so,
Which that is also different from CEO.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is. CFO and CAO are different than CEO. So those are your choices, plain and simple. We looked at this, our committee looked at this as a start. Our committee's not going to disband. It may grow, it will come back together, it may go forward, but the next step would be to go in there and really get into the meat and bones of what each job description should be, and then go from there.
Yeah. As it's currently written for this referendum,
Mm-hmm.
it does take that power of the CEO, COO as overseer and accountable from the charter.
It does.
Okay.
It does. It does.
Puts it in the hands of the council.
The whole council's, yeah. So it does take everything, just so it's clear, it does make this council accountable, which they're accountable now.
Yes.
But the mayor, according to the charter, currently written, is more accountable.
That is true. That is correct. That is a correct statement.
And it's really not about power and not even the way it's written.
No, and like I said, I just wanted to make sure that it was clear that we are not and did not propose at any point in our discussions that our mayor be appointed by the council at all. We did not do that. That is not part of this referendum.
And so that was a misconception that was going around. So,
I just
And
wanted
it
to
happens.
clarify. No, exactly, it happens, and I just wanted to make sure that the community understood that that was not part of this referendum and in any shape, form, or fashion.
perfect.
Okay? Any other questions?
Any questions? Thank you, Jim. Okay. Next on our agenda is ordinance 835, incorporating compactors and rates, second reading. Do I have a motion to read ordinance 835 by title only?
I make a motion to read ordinance 835 by title only.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Can you call roll, please?
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Smith? Mayor Miller?
Yes. Okay.
Ordinance 835. An ordinance of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, amending ordinance 686, establishing a sanitation service, incorporating compactors and rates for their use, incorporating rates for excessive refuse and residential properties, providing for codification, repealing ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict, providing for severability and an immediate effective date.
Okay. Thank you, Tammy. I'm going to open this to public discussion. So this impacts the west end mostly, but other commercial or potential residential units like that. All right, no public comment. We'll move to the table. We'll close our public comment discussion at the table. All right, so I want a clarification on this one. I think the last time you said that, let's go back over the cost. Chris, the cost of the compactor is,
Roughly, and it's gonna fluctuate based on the amount of fuel and the amount of trash dumped, but the cost would be approximately $2,600 a month.
and currently, we,
52, like 52 something.
50, actually, it's 46, 16, 13. So, and yeah, pennies and dollars do count. They do in my bank account anyway. Okay, so, and that was just given to me by Sherry right before I came to the meeting. So I have those numbers in front of me. So, what do you feel the benefits of this is, other than what we talked about last week with the guys having to move dumpsters?
Well, the benefits are is that we're gonna make money without doing any of the work, and our employees aren't gonna have to manually move these heavy dumpsters around to get them positioned for, going and being dumped on our current garbage truck. The other issue is the bears are out there at the west end of town, and in fact, the management of the apartment complex just sent me a new video yesterday of bears inside the dumpsters. And so this would eliminate the threat of bears and the danger to the people living in the apartment complex.
Eliminates the attraction.
Yes. Yeah, it's not gonna eliminate the bears.
Okay. So, do we have any other questions or comments? Just want to clarify our numbers. So when you say it's gonna fluctuate by the month, is that just about the amount of trash that's picked up?
It'll be the amount of trash, and then there's a 15% surcharge on fuel, so depending on the amount of fuel used here in Mexico Beach, and the price of gasoline, then, that will fluctuate a minor amount.
So when we get into a contract with this company, what's our out on the contract? Like if something happened, if the city did not want to bear that cost.
Well, the city's not gonna bear the cost, the apartment complex is bearing the cost. They're paying, for sanitation service just like everybody else in town. But it's a 5-year contract on the compactor.
Okay, so this is one compactor, right?
Yes,
How many compactors are there gonna be?
1.
Period. Never, they're just asking for one compactor.
At the apartment complex, just 1 compactor.
All right. I was wondering about that because I know they have several dumpsters.
Yes,
So they're just gonna have one compactor.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, good.
So Chris, if they get up to 100% capacity there, now they're about 50%, that still would be adequate? The one
Yes.
compactor, okay.
And that might end up having to be dumped more often. So would that cost us, that would cost the city extra as well? The 15% surcharge as well as the rate for dumping?
If it ever gets to the point to where they have to make extra dumps, then yes, we'd have to pay for that. But, we do that right now with all of our other large customers. We started this past weekend sending the guys out to dump all the trash cans at the street ends and our large, commercial businesses like restaurants and hotels. So we do that for everyone.
So I know we're in the black with this. Open this up for future, it would not be, if possibly at this rate, we would not be in the black for them.
The ordinance as it was written states that they'll pay the normal residential rate as they do now, or they'll pay whatever the actual cost of the compactor is. So the city will not lose money. It's
But we
impossible.
may not be in the black. We'll be in either even or maybe,
Yeah,
it won't be this amount.
correct.
Okay. All right. That was my questions, just clarifying. Okay, I can entertain a motion to approve, deny, or table.
I make a motion, we approve ordinance 833, 835, I'm sorry.
I'll second it.
Okay. I have a motion and a second for ordinance 835, incorporating the compactor and rates. Tammy, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, next on our agenda is ordinance 836. This is to amend 818, adjusting the current sanitation rate, second reading. And I have a motion to, for a second reading of ordinance 836.
I'll make a motion for the second reading of ordinance 836.
Second.
Tammy, call the roll.
Mayor Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Ordinance 836, an ordinance of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, amending ordinance number 818, adjusting the current rates to be charged for the use of the municipal sanitation system, repealing all ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing for an effective date.
All right. Open to the public for any public discussion. Okay, we'll close the public, bring discussion to the table. Any discussion, any questions y'all have about this sanitation rate increase?
Just to help us out one.
This is just for excessive garbage, not normal. In addition to.
So, yeah, my understanding is the guys will, basically, if there's an over amount of garbage that does not fit our ordinance, that they'll take pictures of it, they'll have a form they'll fill out and provide that to Sherry, and Sherry will make sure it gets billed. All right, so any other discussion? I'll take a motion for denial, approval, denial, or table.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 836, amending ordinance 818, sanitation rates.
I'll second it.
Any call the roll?
Okay, Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. Okay. Other business, consideration of auctioning our old dredge. Chris?
As everyone's aware, we've received the new dredge. We've worked out all the bugs that existed whenever we received it. It's running fine. The guys have well over 80 hours now in operating the dredge. With that being the case, city staff feels like it's a good time to put the other dredge, the old dredge, up for auction. We've had quite a few people contact us about it, wondering what we're going to do with it and make sure that they're notified when we do decide to auction it off. And as you can see from the paperwork, city staff is recommending that we place a reserve with a minimum bid of $75,000 on that auction due to the fact it has a fairly new pump and a fairly new motor in it.
So you're gonna declare it surplus also?
Yeah.
It ain't like we could take it somewhere and auction it off without you thinking that.
You don't have a big enough truck, Sherry? Man.
Just gotta go by water.
Do you remember what we put in the motor
It
up
was,
here?
I won't say it was like over $4,000.
Way more than that.
Was it more than that?
It was 40.
I'm sorry.
Say close to
It was 40.
40, I meant 40.
$40,000 is what.
Not for that, 40,000, yeah.
About 40.
About 40.
We bought the motor, then we had to get the pump with it. And we rebuilt the pump. It's just sitting there rusty.
So do we want to direct Chris to move forward with the auction of the old dredge?
Absolutely.
with a minimum rate of 75,000,
And declare surplus.
clear it surplus. Do we need to vote on this, sir?
Yes.
Do a vote? Okay. So I will take a motion. I'm sorry it wasn't outlined that way, but I'll take a motion. Oh, let me ask, is there any public discussion? Closed public discussion. We've discussed at the table. I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we declare the dredge surplus and put up for auction.
I'll second it.
Amy, call the roll, please.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mayor Miller?
Yes. All right. Consideration of increasing city clerk's pay. Chris?
Mayor and council, as you all are aware, the city clerk doesn't work for me, but the city council recently did an evaluation of the city clerk and her position, her job performance over the past year. The city clerk hasn't received a pay increase in the last 2 years, only received one cost of living increase, and that was whenever we came into this current fiscal year. So based on the evaluations that she received, I just wanted to bring it to the council that due to the way we operate business here in the Sunshine, that I'd like to see the city increase her pay. I made my recommendation, obviously that's just my recommendation. City council can do whatever they feel is appropriate, but the ball is in your court at this point.
Tammy, what did you start out at?
At 45.
45. And your current rate is,
52.
and you started in 2020?
March 10th, 2021.
And you got a raise from 45 to 52, which was a $7,000 raise.
Well, no, it was 5,000 on 3/22/2022. And then I got the cost of living October 1st.
Okay, so you went up to 50, and the cost of living,
On October 1st, 2023.
What is the current 52? Currently 50.
so your cost of living was around 2,000, is that correct? Okay. So the recommendation about that, $8,000 is about a little over 13% increase. 13. I did a little research. The average clerk, that means some make more, some make less, was $36,360. This was from Career Explorer as well as Indeed. The high end was $49,680, but I went beyond that and I looked at the state of Florida, and some of the highest rates run between 61 in Port St. Lucie up to 67,660 in Delray Beach. I think it's Delray. So, anybody have any recommendations or comments?
I think Tammy is an excellent employee. She puts in a lot of extra hours. She responds well to the citizens when they call to make an inquiry. She follows up well. I think maybe she was started off low, and I believe that the $60,000 a year would be perfectly justified.
I agree.
Rich?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about a 13-14% increase, but I agree with the performance. The performance is good. I looked at rates also, and I've seen them up to about 75, but they're all over the place as far as the size of the cities and stuff like
Cities,
that.
yeah.
So.
Well, these cities didn't compare to the size of ours, but I just wanted to, I do want to make I do want to make, based on Tammy's performance, excellent. When she and I talked about her evaluation, I did make a recommendation that we try to help her as the council get her certification. And she has tried in the past, and and had to stop because she was so busy. So I think the council needs to make accommodations for her, being she does have a deputy, to get that clerk certification. I would see maybe a 6% raise now, and once she completes her certification, another 6%. Or even maybe 5% or 6%. That would be an extra, 5% would be an extra 27.56. So 6% will bring her up to 55,120, and then an extra 5 or 6 would bring her between near the 60,000.
I think since she's willing to take the clerk certification, and we know that she will do that, I think I would, in my mind, justify the current salary suggestion that Chris made, to give her now.
It's also what she has to do with all that going on. She has a lot on.
I'd support-
60,000 is well worth it.
I'd support the 60 also, I mean, in this move. I'd like to see it be more on track and more budgeted year to year, rather than it being a surprise.
Well, since it's been like 2 years, you know,
Yeah.
since she's.
More of a yearly thing.
So how do we normally, it looks like she had a split, she had a cost of living raise and a raise and then a cost of living raise, a few months. Well, no, a few months, about a year later. How are we doing our cost of living raises for staff? I know how we do it for employees. Is it different for staff?
All the employees at the start of the fiscal year got the cost of living raise except for myself.
Tammy didn't get it?
No, she got it.
She got $2,000 in October, I think she said. Well, I think I still go with 6% and then an incentive to get her through, as well as us supporting her to get this certification.
I'm with the recommendation.
So we need to do a vote.
Second.
So I need a motion for the 60,000.
I'll make a motion for the 60,000 a year pay increase for the city clerk.
Second it.
I have a motion and a second. Amy, call the roll.
Okay, Ms. Hamilton,
Yes?
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Wolf,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes. All right. Next on our agenda, thank you, Penny.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. And we do want you to get that certification. Don't push, girl. Okay, discussion regarding internal controls flow chart. Mr. Hook.
Mayor and council, this was on our last meeting agenda. Some fairly extensive flow charts just showing the processes and the steps that we take when it comes to different functions at the city regarding purchasing, regarding new employees, just, you know, like I said, just different processes that we deal with day to day. And it shows you the different steps, the different checks and balances that we have, the number of employees and different staff members that check every step and review every step made by someone else. And I would prefer not to go through every slide individually in detail, but if anybody has any questions, then I'll be glad to I'll be more than happy to answer those.
I've got one here. On our staff accountant, and we do not currently have one, are we using our accounting firm?
I believe when it says staff accountant on there, that's Mary Harmon.
Okay, but then we have over here a city accountant. And I know at one time we did have the two different staff in city.
Right now, it's just a typo, I believe it is, I'm not sure where exactly you're talking
No,
about.
I'm looking too, I had it under on staff.
But, I mean, we use the accounting company Carr Riggs in England for certain functions.
Do
You know,
they,
accounting.
review anything to make sure that the purchases are in line or anything?
No, not, they don't review each individual purchase. That's all handled in-house, but they do journal entries and the accounting and balancing of the bank statements.
Staff account, isn't it? Staff, city account.
Okay, Julie is the one that did the slides, and she just said that the staff accountant is married, the city accountant is Carl Raising on these slides.
So, but currently, we're not using Briggs and Ingram for these are reviews, the batching, like on slide, purchase process. The second bullet, the second section, second bullet point. So, and then everywhere else where it says staff accountant, we're not using them, so Mary's basically standing in that position right now.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any internal control issue with that?
With Mary?
Yeah, with Mary taking basically 2 roles in this, in some places.
Well, we've divided up the duties as much as we possibly can with the staff that we have, so.
Okay.
I mean, there's always gonna be an internal control issue, I think, you know, whenever the auditors come in and look, just because of how small we are. And then, of course, being short-staffed where we don't have a city accountant, you know, full-time inside City Hall, so we're short a person that could be added to that flow chart. But, I mean, there's no concern. With the number of people, that, you know, as you go through those charts, with the number of people that review and the number of people that have to sign off and attest that, you know, they've looked at it and everything is correct to the best of their knowledge. I mean, there's, in my opinion, there's no threat that there's gonna be any kind of theft or fraud that we have to be concerned with.
It would take us having to let Carl Riggs go and bring in an accountant to comply with the current flow charts. Is that true?
Yes, if the city, I mean, using Carl Riggs and Ingram for anything is a very expensive endeavor.
Yeah.
Right, we received a $22,000 bill just for last month. You know, that's what it cost us. So we're obviously trying to limit what they do as much as possible and take that on, you know, the city staff.
So do you know what year-to-date we've used with them since we put them on?
I don't know off the top of my head what we spent year to date.
I'm thinking somewhere around the 30,000 is.
Oh, no, we're closer to 70,
I was thinking
75.
9,000 something. I think it's up to what?
Probably 70, 75.
Okay.
But we, you know, like I said, last month, their bill was $22,000. A couple months ago, it was $25,000.
Okay.
Are they your auditor?
The accountants, Carl Riggs and Ingram,
Who does your audit?
James Moore.
Right now, we're trying to get caught up on our audits for James Moore because it was canceled last time, so.
So you don't have a fiscal year 2023 audit done yet?
We don't even have 22s finished yet. Yeah,
23 is due in June.
it's due in June, the end of June, yeah. Okay, perfect. Well, I think we can improve on this over time, but it just takes time. Like you said, Rich, we need to get an accountant. Maybe there's some other ways to improve our city internal controls, but I appreciate Chris and whoever made the PowerPoints.
Julie gets all the credit for that.
I want to make sure Julie did.
Julie's our graphic design expert at
Yes,
City
she
Hall.
is.
Would it be
That's
worth
good
it to have our, JLAC look at this, and maybe just give some suggestions?
They do,
Yeah, JLAC is looking,
Okay.
they're looking.
yeah, the area as far as our internal processes, the area that has the least oversight is bringing on a new employee. Reason why there is that they get uploaded into the system with the new hire. You know, Tammy pretty much handles everything when it comes to that, and then it goes to Mary Harmon for the Privacy Act information, the bank account information. so that they can get paid. And then the department heads do the interviews and the reviews and recommendations, and I sign off on that as someone is hired. So, you know, total there, we're looking at 4 people that review everything and then put everything into the system. Every other process that we do has more than 4 people, so, you know, they're, just paying the bills is a lengthy, time-consuming process, and a lot of times, people will look at it the first go-around, and then it'll come back around again for a second review and approval. And anytime we approve anything in Springbrook, that is logged, and it logs who approves it. So it's very thorough, and like I said, in my mind, my opinion is we have very little chance for theft or fraud to take place.
So, that's it. Does anybody have anything else they would like to talk about our internal controls? As we will move forward with, I'm sure, recommendations from JLAC, how we can resolve some of these issues that we've had in the past as they appeared on our audits. All right. Okay, monthly financial report, Chris.
Mayor and Council, you've got the monthly financial report. I did do some highlights and include that in with your packet of information for the meeting today. The biggest thing is that Carter Riggs and Ingram have brought forward their state revenues, and they're reflected on the spreadsheet. I know that was discussed at the last meeting, so you can see where we're at there. Some of our revenues are a lot higher than expected. Unfortunately, it's not some of our big revenues, like our ad valorem taxes, but we do have a couple that are 100% and 200% of what we expected. Journal entries are being made now, so if you're following these spreadsheets on a month-to-month basis, the numbers may not add up because of those journal entries. Things are being corrected in the system and corrected by the accountants as they need to do those. We just approved some more journal entries this morning, so most likely what you see here is already changed as far as our accountants are concerned. One of the issues that we've discussed in the past is the fire department. That's going to be another large journal entry that we'll see in the future. Right now, the fire department, you know, if you look at the spreadsheet of the financial report, it shows that they're doing the worst financially. They've spent, you know, more than what they should have, but that's because they spent over $400,000 towards the new fire truck, and we're not showing any of the money being received back to pay for that. So once we receive that $500,000, that's all going to come out in the wash, and the fire department will be on track. City's not received 10% of its expected ad valorem. Could be for various reasons, but you know, people not paying their bills or just the economy in general. You know, people are struggling out there. So hopefully that number will improve, and we'll collect some of those ad valorem taxes. And lastly, we're just looking good overall. The budget's doing well. We're strong financially, and none of our departments are losing any money at this time, and everything's moving forward.
Chris, you want to talk to the possibility of the you losing some of our state tax revenues?
Yeah, with the due to the fact that our fiscal year 22 audit is incomplete, we received several letters from JLAC, but the most recent one was just stating that they've made the recommendation to go ahead with holding our state revenue sharing. That will take effect in mid-May. That's when the next distributions come out. The mayor and I just had a meeting with some members of JLAC as well as our point of contact with Carter Riggs and Ingram yesterday. So most of those funds we'll get back. The one that we won't get back if we don't get everything corrected and get our audit completed and submitted to the state would be the half-cent sales tax share that we receive.
The what?
The half-cent sales tax.
The state revenue shared, right, monthly, looks like it's about 2005. $205,000, I think it's down there, a little over. Then we lose our sales tax, our gas tax. Do you know about the communication service tax, Chris? I'm not sure
Yeah.
if that is part
That's
of it. Utility tax is not correct?
No.
No, okay. That's what I thought. So, you know, so our goal is not to lose this. with our chat with the ladies at JLAC, it will go May 2nd to the committee. She recommend, or I've asked her about recommendations of writing a letter outlining where we're at, what we've tried to do up to this point to get our city back in line and have these audits on time. And so I will be writing a letter to that effect, and sending that to JLAC. She recommended like May 1st, so that they get it right before they go to session. So y'all keep praying that we can keep this. Though we would get back if they, when we get into compliance, we get back, the communication, sales, and gas, we would not get the share back. So we would lose revenues.
Excuse me,
Yes, yes, ma'am.
if we lost that revenue, is that a permanent or temporary? It is a permanent
No,
loss?
ma'am. No, once we're in compliance, we just won't get it back. Like, for instance, our sales and gas and communication tax, if we, let's say they took it back today, and then we met compliance tomorrow, they would give us back those taxes.
So they're just
Back, yeah, they just withhold them, but they give them back to us. Once you lose the 1% sales tax, if we get it tomorrow and we lost $2,000 of that, we wouldn't get that $2,000 back.
But in the future, we
We
would
would
continue to
as
get.
long as we stay in compliance. And that's why this is very important that we get back into compliance and prevent this from happening to our city.
And we're on track to do that with 2022, and 23 is right behind it.
Well,
and it's not like that.
2022 is way late, that's why we're in the position we are right now.
Well, we're done with all the collection, we've turned it over to,
Correct, we have. We've got everything into them. Did they get the grants into? That was the last thing we were working on, Chris, do you remember?
They're still working on
They're
it.
still on working on it. I think Dina's working with that, so that, but James Moore has got lots of other clients that have, they have a commitment to do, because they already got their stuff in, and they have to be done by the 30th to meet their, so we're probably gonna be after June 30th, that's why the letter is very important, that we outline to JLAC and state our case. So that's where we're gonna be. 2023 audit will be due June 30th. We will be late on that as well, because not that Carr Riggs and Ingram has done an excellent job at getting these bank reconciliations done, getting things into Springbrook, getting things, ready for 2023, but we're just not gonna meet the deadline of June 30th, because we've still got 22 for them to do, and then they're gonna take care of our 23. So we're gonna be late again, but we're gonna get this in order that I hope the following years will not be delayed. All right, so we just wanted to be sure that everybody was aware of this, and I think we're doing a good job from where we were placed and got into this situation. When Mr. Baber canceled it and Debbie decided to leave, and so I think we're good. Anything else on your report?
Yeah, oh, what did you say that you, I'm sorry.
You want to know how much we had paid per
Yeah.
record?
Yeah, that'd be,
$78,703.76.
I had a question on the sales tax, or the gas tax. Obviously, you pointed out we're 216% above on the revenue side. How do we undershoot that so much? I mean, so when we go into the next budget, we need to get a better number. That's better than 100% wrong.
Well, that number was so large, I actually went back to Carr Riggs and Ingram and asked them to review the numbers to make sure there wasn't double entries or anything. So the way it was explained to me is there's a trigger point in there that once you receive a certain amount, your distribution amount increases. And so there was no way for us to know that was going to occur. I'm assuming I wasn't part of the budget process, but we looked at, normally whenever you look at your budget, you're working on your budget, you take your previous year's revenues when it comes to the state, you may increase it a little bit due to the growth in population, but yeah, Carl Riggs and Engel came back and said that we hit a trigger point to where our distribution increased quite a
We
bit.
can kill that.
We'll come and scare you. You want him to kick?
Well, if he comes over here, absolutely.
No, I won't let him scare you.
All right. I think he's bothering us. Okay. So let me go back to our agenda here. Let's see, we're going to discuss a finance director position. Okay. Is there anything else on your report, Chris? I'm sorry.
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Finance director position. I mean, I'm gonna tell y'all, I know you hear this number, $78,000. Okay? We're paying, I think Debbie was $52,000 a year. And part-time and remote. So, where we were at, I think that's unfortunate that we've had to spend that money, but I think that it's been spent wisely. Okay? So, but we do need to talk about, as council, the future finance director position. I think when Debbie was here, she fell under the city administrator. I think this position is extremely important to fall under the council because it's kind of like the city clerk and the city administrator, they're on the same playing field, and I think that the city finance director should be at that level as well. And currently, we as a council would have to change, fix that contract and change the whole job duties and the job posting that goes out and that kind of thing. Any input?
To me, I think, oh, go ahead.
Chris, is that any, normally that's a report, normally it reports to the city administrator.
Yeah.
What would that, is that a hinder to report to the council, is that?
No, it won't be a hindrance, and in fact, me personally, I would prefer that the finance person, respond directly to the council. I've told, I know the mayor, and I've told our auditors and everybody else that, I would prefer personally to be completely out of the finance business. Now, in saying that, I review everything and make sure that we, operate efficiently, and I still sign off on purchases and anything dealing with the day-to-day operations. It's just, I'm not gonna be cutting checks, signing checks, doing finance work. I'd be out of that process. One of the things that was discussed in whether or not the finance person, and when I say was discussed in-house and between myself and some citizens and members of the Charter Review Committee, is I think whenever the Charter Review Committee first began, there was the implementation of job descriptions and the recommendations for the Charter Review Committee. And some of those was making the finance person responsible for the budget. Now, me personally, I think that's a bad idea, because your finance person is more concerned with accounting, the day-to-day operations of paying bills, payroll, finance. They don't know the budget, they don't know long-term plans, they're not working on long-term plans. In the past, even though when the city clerk had the accounting and finance responsibility, we worked hand in hand. There's no power struggle inside City Hall. There's no desire to keep people from, playing in my sandbox or Tammy's sandbox or whoever the new finance person's sandbox. We'd all work together, but the city administrator still needs to be the primary person and have control of the day-to-day budget and develop the budget for the following fiscal year.
Yeah. I think the finance director and the city administrators in most places do work hand in hand on the budgets. And I think Debbie had worked hand in hand with Michael and Doug for that, so, okay. You got anything before I take it to the citizens? I've got a hand. Okay, come on, Lisa.
Lisa Logan, Mexico Beach. Remember that up until Mario Giesbert was the administrator here after the hurricane, the finance director was city clerk / finance director. And that position always reported directly to the council. Giesbert was the one who made the suggestion to split the job, city clerk, staff accountant, and put the staff accountant under the city administrator. So the citizens have always preferred, and I certainly have seen that it needs to be that whoever is handling the money as finance director, whatever you decide to call it, needs to report directly to the city council. Yes, the administrator and that person work hand in hand, but the money needs to be reported directly to the city council and never filtered through a third party such as an administrator. So keep that in mind.
Thank you. So, yeah, that puts, you know, it's just like Chris and Tammy work together. Chris, Tammy, and this person be on the same level and work together. Yes, ma'am?
Shelby Bush, Mexico Beach, and I'm a little confused, and I just, on the daily operations, you're in charge of daily operations, and she's separate. You bring a third person in, and they would be on that playing field, and they answer to you. How does this, like, if some of the employees report to you, and they want a week off, vacation, that kind of thing, they go through you. You all go through city council if you're taking time off or days off. How's the accountability as far as people, you know, I guess I just don't understand. They report to you. These two report to you.
To the council.
To the council.
Mm-hmm.
And this other person would report to you.
To the council.
So if they wanted time off, they wanted vacation, they go through you.
No.
How do they take?
Daily operations, Tammy would go to Chris.
And who does Chris go to? I mean, do you all have bosses in line for all of this? I mean, we all, somebody will say, oh, they don't have a boss. Everybody has a boss.
Absolutely.
Our president has a boss. So how are those things taken care of? This may seem like a silly question, but the accountability part keeps coming up. And I like the idea of the playing field being, and I agree totally with you. If I were in your place, I'd want that off my plate too. And, yeah, I would. I think your life would be a whole lot easier. And I feel like you have enough on it. And same with you. I couldn't be happier for you. Because you, of all people, you work hard, you remain neutral through all of the mess we've been through. And I've talked to Chris. I know how hard you work. And I'm just somebody that lives here and comes to meetings once in a while and sees what goes on. But I just wanted the accountability piece on how the daily was run. If there's a problem with you, I guess you talked because he spoke up today in favor of you raise. And I was just wondering how accountability goes. I mean, if you want time off, you want vacation, or you want to, good job. I just was wondering. I was wondering who the final accountability is.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
John Harold, 43 First Street, last house in Bay County. That's for all my friends. When considering a finance director, this city has been dinged in the past, and I wish Adrian was here because he has mentioned it. Red flags on our accounting process. So if we are going that way, we need to know what we have violated to make sure we put it in the right order for the state to be happy with us. So that may determine on who that finance director, if we get one, is under. I think this council need to consider that, find out from JLAC or whoever, what was our red flags in the past. Let's not make the same mistake again. Let's rectify it, so we don't lose tax money, which I haven't heard a figure or a rough estimate of how much money we're losing, but
You can
some
look
of us would like to know.
You can look at the report, monthly report, and multiply that times 12, thereabouts.
Okay, but we're hopefully not gonna lose it for a
Yes,
year.
hopefully not, but
Okay,
we don't know how much we're gonna lose. It depends on when it gets in and if we even lose it.
right,
We're just gonna really pray hard that
right,
they
we
like to
do.
listen to
But
us
again, I
and
think
understand our
this
situation.
council needs to consider, as far as if we hire one, let's get direction so we don't cause any more red flags. We've had 3 or 4 from what,
It's been 10 years of red flags for
okay.
internal.
So we don't want to make the same mistake that previous councils have made over the years. Let's get it straight,
And
please.
I just want to correct that statement. I don't think they made mistakes. I think they didn't,
Okay,
they just kept repeating that they were going to do something that didn't implement it. So I think that's just, that it just needed to be implemented. So we need to make sure, and that's why we had this chart, flow chart
Okay.
today. We want to make sure that our internal controls get corrected.
Yes.
As best we can with the people we have. So are all the people in the right seat on the
Correct.
bus? I mean, that's one of my leadership 101, making sure that your people are in the right seat on the bus.
And
And
again-
that always stuck with me.
I will stress that we need to get some direction from the state. So, well,
When we
okay.
get this audit, they'll come back and they'll give us
Okay.
some recommendations on it.
That's all, like I said, if you're gonna put someone in this position and you're debating where to put this person, let's get some guidance so we don't offend the grand poobahs up there in Tallahassee. All right?
I think if you go back and you look at where the internal control issue was discussed before and the write-ups that we've received on our annual audits, for the last 3 or 4 years since the hurricane hit, everything was written up as far as the internal control issue because of the fact of the increased workload created by the hurricane and a large turnover of employees. So that's the two things. I think we've resolved the hurricane issue now, after 5 years, but we need to hang on to some
That's what they
employees.
think up there, that we should have, but my understanding, and there again, I don't know, was that we weren't, our process wasn't correct, and that's what we were red flagged for.
I don't think it's the process, it's just well, I guess it is the process, but making sure that the process is followed.
Okay,
That, we're missing some people because we are small.
right,
We can correct it.
okay,
We can correct
then
it.
let's do it. Let's stop talking about it, let's do it. Thank you.
All right, anyone else have any comments? All right, yes, ma'am. Hey, Cindy.
I have allergies, so don't be alarmed.
And you quit smoking, Bo.
No, I've not smoked. I've never picked that habit now. I like to eat, but not smoke. On our audits, and Chris, you mentioned the turnover. Society's changed. People like working remotely. So our employee base as a community has changed because their lifestyles have changed. So a lot of the audits where we get the red flags, it's about giving the appropriate responses. Not that they're all, it's just something to look at, sort of the yellow light versus the red light sometimes. And as long as we can respond timely, accurately, and factually on any type of flag, then that is considered. So we're not trying to just plead, hey, things have changed. These are the specifics. Respond accurately to it. And then they will consider that. Because we don't want to lose anything. You lose something, you never really get it 100% back. Our credibility, our integrity is something that we don't want to lose. So we really need to continue in the direction that we're in. Open, honest, facts. And the other question I had was, with our CPA firm, is it possible we can determine the cost of burning the candle a little later with them, paying them a little bit more to get us where we need to be. So when we're at the table, everything is current. Instead of, I mean, that financial impact may be greater than what the potential consequence of the loss is. But have we looked at those two factors to say we've pushed really hard, 110% our staff has, they've produced all the documents. As a council, we've done everything we can. We've also tried to contract a little deeper with our CPA firm to get the dedicated resource, not a shared resource, but fully dedicated resource to bring us fully into compliance based on the information they have. So when we go to that table, we did everything we possibly could for our community. You know, I know it was it was a crunch time, but whatever it takes to get us in compliance when Tallahassee meets, we need to see if we can offset that, if that's reasonable financially. That was my only feedback. Thank you.
And Chris has pretty much been taking care, and Tammy and Julie have been pretty much taking care of when Carl, Riggs and Ingram needs access to whatever reports they need or whatever. They've been making sure that they get those. I think they had a little rough start, at the beginning. Somebody understanding the software and how to use it and getting access, but that was resolved, and they have been moving really quickly, very quickly. So.
And if I can say something there, man, I don't want just us to take the credit for that, because it's not just, Julie and Tammy and myself, but everybody that works at City Hall has been dealing with Carl Riggs and Ingram. Sherry, Vanessa, Mary, I mean, they deal extensively with Carl. January has done work.
Yeah.
So, it's the entire staff at City Hall who's doing this, and, we're working as fast as possible and getting them the information that they need so that we can get the audits completed and all the accounting done that needs to be done. So I don't want to sell the rest of the staff.
Yeah, it is a team. It is a team, and Carl, Riggs, and Ingram teaming up with us, and I think it was a good match. I think we're moved quickly as possible, and I think we're going to be okay. I really do. It's just a matter of, even if we lose some tax revenue, which I hope we don't, we'll get in compliance, we'll move forward, we'll stay ahead of the game as soon as we can get some new staff on board. I think will really help us there with our future audits. All right, anything else at the council table I do want us to consider going on and thinking about this position and getting it RFQ'd out. But we need to make sure the write-up is specific to what the council wants, and the write-up for the position, and that we look at the contract, have our attorney look at the contract, and hopefully move forward to getting a position. Do y'all want to put a time frame on us making this decision?
Yeah, I would, I'd definitely, there's 2 seats going to be filled next week, so I would probably wait till you have a full council, and I'd move forward and start to look at somebody.
Okay. So Chris, let's bring this back to the table for a vote next meeting. All right. Well, anything, Linda?
No. Okay.
Mr. Smith?
On what?
What we've been talking about for 30 minutes.
Do we have it in the budget for this year? I think we took some of it out. I think we did something to that money. Some of that money, didn't you say one time we could take? Mikey wasn't here.
Yeah, with Michael not being here, his budget money is available.
Well, again, let's really start considering making that transition, because there is going to have to be a transition from Carr Riggs and Ingram to a full-time in-house finance director. I believe that will help our internal controls tremendously, and I would like to think about in the future. This might not need to be coming up now, but I would think in the future, I'd like to have a procurement officer that sees what comes in, what goes out, and checks off things and has a system in place so we can, you know, if Tommy has to go buy a bolt, then we know that bolt that went on that machine, and it's all in one place, and we've got another person in our internal control process that will help as well. And I think, but that's for the future.
As you go into that 23rd meeting on the 23rd for the financial director, I would suggest we look at cost for Carr, Riggs, and Ingram and build that into the hiring of one so that the probation period is the same period we have Carr and Riggs in place versus getting rid of Carr and Riggs and still have a probation period.
Yeah,
I'd
no,
look at that.
that's why I said we need that transition. I agree. We definitely need that transition. We don't want to end our contract with Carr, Riggs, and Ingram and then have somebody that's coming in for a finance director. We want that transition to
Do it after the probation period.
do smoothly. Yep. Okay.
Another item too, talking about Carr, Riggs, and Ingram, because Mayor, right then you talked about ending their contract. Mr. Willie stated in the past that whenever the last 3 years that he was in the city clerk's position was the only times when the city didn't receive a write-up, and that was because at that time the city also had an outside accounting firm that would review everything, and that, you know, resolved the internal control issues. So, you know, the council may want to consider not terminating Carr, Riggs, and Ingram's contract completely, but use them for that same type of role, just as oversight of our, you know, monthly operations here, and provide that extra level of security and internal control.
And that's what I'm thinking. We could have a procurement person for that, and I think that would be somebody that would work with our director. Because they very much need a financial background as well, and but they don't cost often as much as the directors do, or a firm. Okay, so department reports is next on our agenda. Okay, I think you're up, buddy. This Public Works Director, Manager.
Good morning, council. Public Works been busy. Of course, spring break's here. A lot going on. A lot of people here in the city. So just a few things, bigger things that we accomplished. One, Kimberly, you know, got us the new beach rate. We did rate the beach in the last couple of weeks, the entire beach, so it looks good for all the citizens coming in. We also went down Highway 98 and cut a lot of the dead brush down Miss Linda had asked me about, so that that looks a lot better. We repaired, as I mentioned a while ago with the crew that got the Employee of the Month, we've repaired the walking track around under the Palms Park. We're fixing to blacktop that, so all that looks brand new. One of the things we've done. Fixed several holes, one down here by where the pizza place used to be in 98. We've repaired that. It was cut during one of the, I think, water breaks we had there from Mr. Glenn. We're working on a big washout down on Canal Parkway, right there in front of the Welcome Center. We're gonna fix that hole. I think Thursday we got a concrete truck coming in to repair that. Something that had a washout back when that was done after Hurricane Michael, but the warranty had run out on it. We found the problem. Deanans and David from Dewberry, we figured out where it was going, and we're gonna fix that on Thursday. Notice we got a new flagpole down at Sunset Park. Looks really great. The other two are ordered. As soon as they get here, there'll be a new one going down at Parker Park and one at under the Palms Park. We cut, Miss Donna lives on the corner there at 15th Street, right before the bridge. She complained about not being able to see the cars coming up and down 15th Street. So I had Randy and his crew go around. We cut all that brush down. If you notice now, when you go around 15th Street, you can see way around the curb now. So we made that a lot better to help her. I could see her problem when you backed out of her driveway, you backing out in the road without being able to see what's coming. So we did that to kind of help her out a little bit. Of course, we finished up the equipment, workout equipment area. Like I mentioned earlier, we sodded that. All that's been finished, and we're on track. Probably, I would say, with less than another month, we'll be completely through with Under the Palms Park. Cutting grass throughout the city. Summer's back here, so we're back doing that as normal. Like I said, a lot of things going on that I didn't put on here. Y'all probably see it as you go around through the city. A lot of cleanup going on. Other than that, it's just business as usual. Busy. I did start the sanitation crew is running back on the weekends now. We had several of the condos call and ask for additional pickups, so that is extra money for the city. So we are running beach pickup, trash cans along the beach, and we're adding new trash cans on the end of every road down on the south side. We had them before, you know, Hurricane Michael, and we just now started trying to get all those put back in place. So a lot going on with the Public Works. Anybody got any questions? I'll be glad to try to answer those for you.
Especially.
Yes.
Oleander, the places where the optic people tore it up, they're gonna be fixed?
Yes, yes. And if anybody that sees anything, like when they're building a house or something, please call me, let me know. I'll go around and take a picture of it. Any homeowner that tears up our streets, messes up our ditches, they will fix all that or pay to have it fixed before they'll get a CO. So basically, I'm the last person going to sign off on their stormwater.
But this is from the optic people.
Yeah.
But from
Yeah.
second and third and fourth, that was.
Yeah, and make a list of that. I think Chris has the man's number that can get all that took care of.
One of the reasons why those cuts haven't been repaired yet is because the city put in its budget $175,000 to pave Hatley Drive. So we're gonna wait until the fiber optic people are completely, finished, and then we're gonna call the asphalt company to come out, pave the road, and do all those repairs at the same time, so it saves the city money. We're not paying them to come out twice for mobilization fees and, that sort of thing. So it'll all be done at once whenever they do start the repaving.
Yeah, same way down Florida Avenue, there's several cuts across the road. Y'all please bear with us. All of those are gonna be fixed at one time.
As soon as they fix it, then charge back optic their portion of it.
The what now?
Said the city's gonna repair it, then they'll charge back to optic their portion.
I would think they would be. They said they would take care of anything that they damaged, so, yeah. Anybody, any other questions, ma'am?
Please thank those guys again that are out there on those trucks, picking up all of the extra garbage, picking up after tears or spills.
I sure will. My sanitation guy said that right now, it is busy as it was last summer in July.
I bet it is.
There's a lot of people visiting, a lot of people on the beaches, so I think we made the right decision. Normally, Memorial Day before we start the weekend pickup and the beach cans and all again, but I think we made the right decision. There's a lot of people visiting right now, so go ahead.
And their attitude,
Yeah, that's
everything
true.
is still
That's true.
wonderful.
If no other things, that's all I got.
Are we going to get a letter or whatever out to the customers somehow, knowing that if you have extra trash, it's gonna be extra money?
Yes, ma'am. Mayor will put out Miss Tammy and them usually does it on the website. We'll put out something and put it on the water bills. And we could do an additional flyer. Of course, they find out pretty quick because if we don't pick it up, they're gonna call us. But, we talked about this. I talked about this with you when you first came on board, and I talked with Chris when he came on board. Last summer, we probably didn't even break even the amount of trash. I know we had one house here right across 20th Street there that had like 20 bags. And, there's a lot more people staying in the rentals now than what they used to be.
Well, we've already seen an upward trend already, starting upward trend toward having more visitors.
Right.
We have more rentals here, more more tasking on your crew. Are you okay with your crew? Do you need any extra?
Well, you know, we got applications out now for 2 more people for sanitation, to go on the trucks. And my hope was to actually take one of the garbage trucks and do nothing but the commercial. They would handle all the dumpsters and all, and then 2 trucks running residential. But even during July, the extra people can go on the trucks, the garbage trucks, because they barely get through by time to go home, and that's not counting the drivers having to go to the landfill. During the summertime, we go to the landfill near about every day because we fill those trucks up. But yeah, I think we're going to be fine. We're going to be in better shape this summer than we were last summer.
Do you have any applicants currently?
Right now, I'm getting a lot of applicants, but what we get, I guess, when they put it on, is people from as far off as Atlanta, Pensacola. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I guess maybe it's an automated thing. They see something come online, they send the application. But I do have a few that's local. When I say local, Panama City. We will also, we're going to start interviewing some of those. I filled, finally, after about 7 months, I finally filled our vacant position we had in Road and Street. I've got a new young man. His name is Harley Reed. If you see him out, tell him hello. He started yesterday, so we finally filled that one. But it took 6-7 months just to find somebody for, I guess nobody wants to work anymore. So if anybody's listening out there that would like to go to work with sanitation, I have 2 openings. Please put an application in. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Had one more thing, Tommy, about the road repair. I called to report 300 Fortner. It's a new construction. It's on that corner lot, and they've done a lot of damage to the road, just all the way down. So I reported that to Greg in the building department, and then he was going to contact, code enforcement about it as well, possibly send out a citation. Because it's a major damage.
Yeah, you talking about the big house that looks like
what we call the Lego house, yeah. Big damage, big
Yes,
damage.
ma'am, we took pictures and documented,
Okay, I
so
have pictures
we're
as
ready.
well, okay.
Mystically, and you're up. Utilities Department.
Glenn Davis, Utility Director. Thank you, Council, all of you. Staying real busy. A lot of line locates, which is due to the construction and building going on. Been a lot of rereads. Had a little sewer overflow Saturday night, MX1 due to equipment failure. Did have a small amount of sewage going to the canal. We followed the protocol, notified DEP, public notice. We've collected samples. Brought AAG down to check the motor. It appears that a phase monitor was bad. Also checking on the alarm system. We cleaned up the area there, met the vector attractant path rejection rule by putting lime on there. Couldn't do anything in the water other than public notice. We're still involved in the EPA mandated land service line locate, which is due by the middle of October. Water usage is climbing. I know you're aware of that by the amount of people. Some weekends we're upwards of 400,000 gallons of water. And we're doing a DEP mandated flushing all dead ends within the city. I have been getting a few water complaints, which normally is associated with flushing. If you have a water complaint, if you'll call us and let us know, we'll go and try to flush and clear the area. Also doing a DEP mandated valve exercising program. Again, that will contribute to discoloration of water by the moving and turning the rust loose of the valves. Again, call us if you have a color problem. We did have a line break, and I don't know if we reported it last month, on the 14-inch force main going to 10. Very small, and the guys came in. I was in the middle of taking care of MX1 service, doing the yearly service on it. We pulled all 3 pumps. So we split in 2 crews. Tommy and Sandy's guys helped us, and we got through with a line break quicker than we did to pulling the pumps and cleaning the station. Last month, I think it was, we were able to get some directional bores done through Mr. Hubbard working with the fiber people. And we've got that 2-inch line on Colorado taken out of service. So So we should not be having any more major problems on there with line breaks. Do any of you have a question for me? Thank you, sir.
Oh, I see.
Good.
On the rereads,
A lot of rereads.
what can we do? Side replacement, there's no warranty on them. I mean.
They were there before I came in, the system
Oh,
that we have.
okay, that's good enough, and they
One of the
warranty
things,
been out.
one of the things that I'll say to you, wet weather does affect the reeds. I don't understand it. If there's water in the ground, I don't understand all the technology about that, but we are looking at it, and we're looking at maybe a plan, maybe for a future budget year to come in and put in the different system. I have been told that there's a better meter with the same company. We could possibly replace the head. Hopefully that would be all, and it would really help us on our rereads. But rereads and line locates are a major part of our job, take a lot of our time. And again, I want to say how much Tommy and Sandy and Sheriff's Department, everybody out here pitches in and helps together. I've never worked at a place that had people that would pitch in and help the way these guys do, and I appreciate y'all. And I appreciate y'all being good to Miss Tammy, because this whole bunch works together good out here. I've been doing this a long time, and these people here work together as good as any group I've ever been affiliated with.
You think she was worth a raise?
Yes, sir.
She thinks it was.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I got one more,
Absolutely.
on the MX one. I mean, all that alarm that was supposed to went off and everybody's supposed to call, it did not happen.
And we have been in touch.
And that's something we really critically need to get either redone, something needs to happen, because we can't let that happen.
We are working on it. We have been in contact with them. As a matter of fact, when we get through today, I'll be on the phone with them, try to make that happen this week.
Is every one of the pumping stations got the same
Yes, sir.
station?
Yes, sir.
I'll see you later.
I got a question. You said we're up on our usage of water.
Yes, sir.
How's our sewage doing with this big plunge of people that came in?
The sewage is still not running what we normally see. Normally, if you use 1 million gallons of water a day, and that's just theoretical, normally 70 to 80% of that be returned to sewer. Ours is well below that. I don't have it in front of me, but I think we're somewhere around 40% returned to sewer, which is actually way below the norm. But one of the things to remember, we have a lot of water going out as irrigation, which is not returned to sewer.
Those are on separate meters usually too for people who use.
Yes, ma'am, the irrigation and the water separate.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Sandy.
Morning all. Those of you who were here last year, and that's a lot of us, you may remember we got a grant to put in a floating dock to put our ski-doo on. Well, we put the ski-doo on it this year, and we had our first call during spring break where some people fell off their own jet ski, and one of them couldn't swim. The system worked extremely well, and so from implementation to actual usage, it's worked well, and it was worth all the effort and the training and everything else that goes into it. We had one of those called for the ski-doo actually on the same day, funnily enough. So it was a busy-ish time for us during spring break with everything going on the beach and so on and so forth, and more people in town. We are very, 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 very close to having the ladder truck that is parked outside. It's actually, we were driving around today, being put in full-time service. Everything is here bar one thing. And that one thing, it's a high-vis vest for those when they step out into the middle of the road so people can see them coming. You would think it was a simple thing, but in fact, for NFPA, which is a standard which we have to meet, they are a lot more difficult to find than you would have thought. They are on their way here. They should be here by the end of the week, I believe. I'm trying to get the CFO here to do a ceremonial pushback, but if he can't be here till next month, we will still put the ladder truck in service and then do the ceremonial pushback as a ceremonial pushback just to have it done. We're almost completely finished on training on the ladder truck as far as driving it is concerned. I have somebody coming to then train us all on the actual day-to-day, month-to-month and year-to-year maintenance of it. It requires gallons and gallons and gallons of grease and so on and so forth to keep everything in working order. We are fully staffed. We added an extra person last month, and he came from Callaway Fire Department, so he is well up on a lot of the same things that we do here that they do there, so it won't take as long to get him through the probationary package as it might do somebody who came straight out of fire school. To then take that hat off and put this one on the Harbour Master side of things, it's been an interesting start to the year. It's been a little bit slower than last year. I'm not sure why. Bookings are coming in, but they're not coming in as quickly as they were last year. Some people are leaving until the last minute. We shall see where we go. I'll have a little bit more of an idea by this time next month as to where we lie for income on the city dock in comparison to last year. At the moment, it's slightly skewed because a lot of people bought their passes before the price went up. So obviously, it's just it's difficult to get an eye on exactly where it's at. But Tommy and his guys are doing a repair down there that needs to be done. Everything's ready and everything's working. No issues down there. Kathy and myself and are keeping tabs on the automatic machine paying down there. That's not giving us any issues so far. So all is good. If anybody has any questions or yes sir.
You speak of the Sea-Doo, does that stay there and then you're called?
Yeah, basically it's on a floating dock down, basically, and if we get a call, one of our guys will go there with a utility truck, the other guys will go to the beach.
Okay, so you don't have someone out like patrolling?
Funny enough, on Saturday we actually did. On Saturday there were so many people on the beach that last weekend of spring break and it was really, really packed. We couldn't physically drive the side-by-side in and around Sunset Park and the Governor. So one of the guys said, could we take the Ski-Doo out and do a little bit of patrol? I said, absolutely.
We've cut down the response time.
So they were out over the weekend, yes.
So that you'll probably do that when it's out.
Now that we have 3 people on duty on some of the shifts, not on all of them, there will be a possibility on some days, yes, but not on all.
Okay.
And then obviously when I'm in town, if there's 2, we could do it as well. So it's going to be a new idea.
Yeah.
Some people hate jet skis and the sounds of them and the sights of them, so it's trying to balance the good, bad, and the indifferent, or the ugly.
You don't have to act like you're going to harm them. You can go slow.
Yeah, you tell that to kids on speed.
Exactly.
That's why I'm saying we got to get the balance right.
Can I volunteer?
You just get me to way too much trouble.
You consider drone officers?
So I was actually at a meeting on Friday with the Florida Forestry Service, and they just got a new drone. Drones that are flyable by fire departments and are extremely expensive. We are not allowed to use, government entities are not allowed to use DJIs and so on and so forth because of the attachment to our friends in the Far East, those Chinese scenarios, right? So we're not allowed to use them. Their drone cost them $80,000. Something tells you if I stood here and said, I'd like $80,000 for a drone, I think I might get thrown out that door at the moment. But it's something that we haven't looked at, but we have a bit of an issue with that rule at the moment.
All right. How many full-time guys do we have in your department now?
6, 7, 8, 9, including myself.
9 full?
Yeah. So basically, we want to try and do 3 on each shift. We have 3 on 2 shifts and 2 on 1 shift and myself. So the idea would be get that one last person, and then that is it for ISO. You are where you need to be to get our ISO down to where we can get it down to, and keep moving forward.
Thank you so much.
That's another day's discussion.
Chief, one question. The Sea-Doo that you have out there, how is it distinguished different than the others other than, or just the safety?
It does have fire rescue on the side of it and so on and so forth. We don't have flashing blue lights on it or
Can we
anything
get
else to
some
that.
lights? I'd love to see
They
that.
don't last very long, unfortunately, the salt water and the electrics.
Oh, they don't?
Yeah, they really don't.
I mean, that may act as a factor of
I
slowing
mean, when they're
people
up
down.
on top of a bay boat,
Yes, sir.
That's, you know, they're high up out of salt water, but when they're literally down here and waves crashing over them, the
Right.
electronics don't last for minutes.
Be great to have y'all
They can-
distinction out there.
I get
for
them.
the safety.
I get them one of these. I can press that, and stick it on my head. But I'll look into it for sure. But from what we've tried before, and I've seen tried before, it really doesn't last very long, and they're expensive. Any of those high visible pulsating lights are, from Korea and stuff like that, costs a lot of money.
And we find some grant money or Air Force features or something.
It's-
We'll help you out.
It's certainly worth a look.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, code enforcement?
Mayor and Council Code Enforcement gave me a report. She issued 4 courtesy violations at the boat ramp, issued 3 citations at the boat ramp for no annual or daily pass, tagged 70 boat trailers, parked and left in the overflow lot, sent 2 notice of violations out for lots to be cut, 3 permits, worked on 4 lien searches, worked over half a day in City Hall helping Sherry and the Water Department fold letters for mailing out. She's worked covering the front office for Vanessa while Vanessa's been going to appointments, and removed numerous snipe signs. So that's what she's been busy doing.
Did she get that sign on Oleander? It's gone.
It's going this morning.
Going this one, good, thank you. Anything? Good. All right, Sheriff's Department report. Mr. Marty.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I supplied staff and council with a listing of the stats for the month and everything else. I didn't bring a copy of it, so if you have any questions on that, just.
Look at you, Nene.
Okay. Let's see, 299 calls for service, total of 13,000 miles patrolled. Traffic stop 76, citations 14, warnings 80. I'm gonna get on to them about that. Had 4 arrests, 3 misdemeanors, 1 felony, and 2 traffic accidents. 27th Street has been a whole lot better place to be at and everything with the taco truck and the parking out front. We'll take the training wheels off of it and see how it works with the cones out front and everything. And see if they adhere to it, and if not, we'll move them back in there to keep them from double parking up there on the roadway. Sheriff's Office is fixing to have their boat online for the summer with Mexico Beach, which we bought a Zodiac from St. Joe Beach, and it'll be marked up and lights on top and everything to help out with the fire department and everything else if need be.
So you got your wish.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
There it goes, okay.
You gonna have it parked down there, Marty,
We're working on a floating dock for it also for the summer to be able to quick access and everything else, because it is a rescue boat and it is fully equipped and everything else to pull people on and everything else. And it's a 50 horsepower motor, so it does about 30 miles an hour. So it's a very nice boat, and it'll be a good addition to what we're doing.
Marty, I had one thing on the, we had the workshop meeting yesterday, and some of the citizens, they're grateful that you've coned off that area on 27th Street, but could we possibly put signs up instead? Would that be as an effective, the orange cones are not the most
Yeah,
aesthetically
that's why I said we was
pleasing.
gonna take the training wheels
Oh,
off of
okay,
it and
okay.
see if they
Okay.
adhered to it, and, because we can't just leave them there the whole time.
Oh, okay, okay.
And it's state right away as far as signs and stuff, and I think that's talking with DOT and getting signs up there for no parking, I've talked to y'all in the past about, no parking, on the right of way in congested areas, in front of the condos and stuff like that, in certain areas where they'll double park and get up there on the edges where you can't see around to come out at stop signs and things like that. I think, was it 18th, 19th Street, right there by Sunset Park, it gets a little hairy down there whenever people start parking all the way down the side of the road on the other side, which we're gonna be working on that.
Do we know how many signs we need? What would y'all, is this something we have to get DOT to get the signs, or can the city?
I think they need to coordinate with DOT about putting
Okay.
any signs up on the right of way.
You're right, okay.
And, but let's see if it, if they adhere to it and everything else, and we'll keep an eye on it and everything, and if not, we can do all that and everything. But signs are, you know, every time we put up another sign, we get another sticker on the car. So it's, if we can get them to adhere to it, but I think everybody's pretty much online with it right now. We haven't had any more issues down there.
Well, one more thing, when you're hiring a new officer, could you possibly bring the officer to the meeting so all the citizens could meet that person, be familiar with who they are, a little bit about their background?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so didn't you recently hire?
It was,
The one that dressed up in the bunny costume for Easter egg?
One that tormented.
That
was a fireman. That was a fireman.
Oh, that was a fireman, oh, okay, okay.
yeah,
No, with you?
Yeah, no, yeah.
Okay.
yeah, that was,
Sorry, March, sorry.
I think that was several months ago, but we'll bring Ty up here and we'll tell meet him and everything. He's a good guy.
Good. All right, thank you. I mean, you won't.
Anybody?
I'm good. Thank you. Okay. Next on our agenda is citizen comment. You'll come up to the podium, you'll state your name, whether you're Mexico Beach or wherever, and I don't think that's your physical address, just a city residence, and then you have a 3-minute limit.
Hello, my name is Jeff Bacon. I'm building over on 5th Street as a permanent residence, not a rental. Read with interest the EPA FEMA Recovery and Resiliency Partnership about the 8th Street Canal. And I'm a little concerned about that 8th Street Canal. There's a lot of the black water that comes out of there that will make its way all the way up to Gulf County sometimes. Or sorry, yeah, to Gulf County. Do we do any testing on that water to see if there's the condition of that water, if there's any bacterias, any pesticides? Because that is part of what FEMA's report and EPA report was here, was pesticides and possible pollutants coming out of that canal.
The 8th Street Canal,
The 8th Street Canal, yes.
it comes all the way from Gulf County.
Right. Have we done any, has there been any testing for any pollutants coming out of that canal into the beach?
I know in the past there has been.
It has been tested. It's not uncommon to have bacteria. Most bodies of surface water do have bacteria.
Okay, so part of the recovery report was the idea about blocking that canal. Is there any movement on that? Is there any discussion on that?
I think did that fall off the radar for our, at one time, it was on our stormwater land.
Well, right now, we've got the stormwater contractor who's in doing the study of the entire city for stormwater, and that would be a part of their evaluation of whether or not that's feasible. Now, as far as the water being dark, the water's dark because of the tannins that are in the water, just from dying vegetation, leaves that fall in it and die. So even though it looks horrible, it's not deadly or dangerous unless we have something like a sewer spill. We did have a sewer leak that went into it 3 or so months ago, and of course we test whenever that occurs, but those test results came back, you know, after a few days of being clear. And so if anything like that happens, we notify the public, as we always do. And so just as it looks now, it looks bad, but it's not dangerous.
Okay. Well, here's my concern there as a permanent resident, future permanent resident. If this report can be really, really bad for the city, because if any child does get ill or from what comes out of that canal, all they gotta do is point to this, and it can cost the city a huge amount of money. So this report could actually be really bad for the city, because they've literally said that there are pollutants coming out of that canal. So that's one of my points right there, that why it should be looked at a little stronger than that. I know a couple of situations. Oh, I'm done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, then won't you continue? Yeah.
There's been a couple situations that I'm familiar with where what were considered very healthy waterways, people have gotten sick, and they cost the city or county enormous amounts of money. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars.
So we need to be proactive versus reactive.
At the very least, I would want to make sure that you guys have that tested on a regular basis. Pesticides can be just as bad as any bacteria for small children. And what's really scary is I see small children playing in that canal all the time, right at the outset. And I also heard that the local alligator visited that last year as well.
Yes.
That would be a really good headline, wouldn't it?
Mr. Bacon?
Thank you. Yes.
What report was that you were referring to?
2019, December 2019, Recovery and Resiliency Partnership, Mexico Beach, produced by the EPA and FEMA, Stormwater Management and Green Space Project.
And that was the project I was speaking of.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
One of the
We
things
have all kinds of projects.
You might consider is, right after tonight, and get right after.
Yeah.
Don't know for sure. Could potentially be contaminants in there that may have cleared someone. Generally speaking, you're gonna find bacteria in bodies of water. What we probably need to do is go back to and establish a baseline, what is the normal count for this bacteria?
Yes. And we'll find out, we'll look at regulations for the state and testing, and we'll figure that out. Thank you so much. Mr. Bill?
Yes.
You look like you're wanting to come up and talk to us.
A couple of suggestions and a question.
Okay.
On the sequence of discussion of different items, like on, you go with, read the ordinance by title only, then citizens' comments, close, and council comments. I think you ought to reverse that, do the council comments first, because that might bring forth some questions from the citizens. As an example, Chris was talking about on the ordinance for the compactors, increase of cost of 20%. Nothing was addressed as to any change in revenue. So was it really a net 20%, or was we have some additional revenue to offset that? That's just an example I thought of during the discussion.
And that's kind of why we put citizens' comments where we can, because that way you can make your notes and you can come up here and let us know what you think. That, you know, if your comments come and then we close them, and then you can always come back up and discuss any of it.
And I'd use that as an example,
Right.
it's not pertinent. Another question, several months ago, there was a lot of discussion about a grant for a new sidewalk project coming from 386 to, I think, Parker Bridge. And that's been pretty quiet here recently, but I'd like to know who applied for that grant and by whose authority. Because this came brand new that the grant had been issued.
Yeah, I'm thinking that, and Chris, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm thinking that's DOT, isn't it? Isn't they talking about the grant?
Yes,
Yes.
the Sun Trails program.
Somebody had to apply for it, they don't say, hey, we're gonna give Mexico Beach some money to do something.
State did it. I mean, I think it's a state project.
And why are we doing anything from 386 to downtown Mexico Beach? We got a good sidewalk there now. I could see extending it onto Parker Bridge.
I actually have not seen their plan. Have you, Chris?
Well, there's no plan yet.
Okay.
Over the last couple of weeks, they've had surveyors come out and start survey work for this
Yeah,
project.
so-
Yeah,
yeah.
so, but I mean, there's no plan that you can hold just yet, but the state of Florida plans on running the Sun Trails all along the coast. So, I mean, what's going in here from Gulf County to Tyndall Air Force Base will eventually be run from Tyndall Air Force Base over to Panama City and tie in over there.
North or south of the highway.
I don't know what side of the highway they're gonna put it on.
And how wide and how thick is the cement? Is it gonna be
Thickness, I don't know.
the
but
future golf cart path, perhaps?
They're talking 12 feet as far as the width, but I don't know the thickness of the concrete.
Well, just like to get updated on what they're doing.
I'll reach out to-
We've been talking about 15th Street for 18 years. I don't know why we're redoing something on 98.
I'll reach out to DOT and
Do what?
I'll reach out to DOT and see if we can get a copy of their plan.
Wouldn't somebody from Mexico Beach have to apply for a grant in
I
order to
don't
get
think
one?
so. This is all state stuff, but I would like to see their, I'm sure they have a plan, being they're already starting their surveying.
Yeah.
So I'll reach out and see if we can get them to send us a plan.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. They may have it online somewhere. We'll find out. Okay. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Christy McElroy, Fort St. Joe. I'm glad this gentleman brought up about the waterways and stuff. I'm a little curious, do you know if your city has in their comp plan a conservation element in it?
Yes.
Okay. Has the entire council had a chance to look at that conservation element? Because a lot of times, what I found over in Port St. Joe, for example, we have a wetland in our neighborhood. The conservation element in past permits showed that maintenance to that wetland should only be nothing. The city was instead mowing that wetland, cutting in that wetland, and through going back to the documents all the way back to 2003 and permits concerning our bike path, it clearly showed the maps of what is a designated wetland, and as well as the conservation element to the comp plan gave some better guidance. What I've seen over the last 14 years is as council comes in and councils go out, and so do staff members, you lose something in those documents. You don't always, someone doesn't bring those forward unless that is their interest. And like I've said to you all, we're your neighbor, we love you, and we want to make sure that each other, does the right thing in order to keep the tourists coming, keep our waters clean, keep our waters safe, and enjoy all the birds' life as well as the fishing. It's a food web. I would suggest that. Commissioner Hamilton came to our resilience program. I still encourage y'all, it's a grant that you can get, there's money out there. Once you do that grant and bring whoever in, we have the University of Florida, you can add that in to your comp plan and also exercise some of the environmental grants that are out there, which I believe are close to $400 million. But they can give you a good guide. It takes them a couple of years to study, but it's no different than what your engineers do, as far as studying in order to make sure you're putting things in the right place. So,
It's a good,
thank you.
good comment. Thank you. As we're trying to look at our city planning for the future as well. Yes, ma'am?
Quinn Jenkins, Mexico Beach. Do we have a year-to-date on Sniffen and Spellman?
Not off the top of my head, I don't.
Okay.
It's probably between $35,000.
And just to confirm, that money is being paid by the taxpayers?
Yes, I mean, it's attorney fees.
Okay, thank you. And I'd also like to commend Jennifer. I feel like somebody distributed some paperwork that discredited the work that the charter committee did, and I think you did a very good job explaining that we will always vote for our mayor. Thank you.
Okay. And Quinn, we'll get those exact figures for how much that was, and on Stiffy and Smilton. Okay. Anyone else? Ma'am?
The attorney, it's the first time I've been here.
Oh, okay.
trying to be introduced.
Yeah, we have him on here.
Oh, good.
We'll get there.
Okay, thank
Anything,
you.
any other public discussions, comments, concerns? We had a great workshop last night. I think it was well attended. A lot of good information. I had like a page and a half of information. Council will be looking at our food truck situation for the future. Hopefully we can all work together and support them, and they continue to support us with good food. All right.
Going back to the workshop from yesterday, it was well attended. The mayor did give the citizens an opportunity to vote on issues that they felt were important. There was many hands raised over the thought of limiting the number of food trucks in our city. We currently have 10. So then people are concerned that a year from now we could have 20. With 10 food trucks, that gives you a lot of options to decide where you want to go for lunch. You know, so when is enough? The citizens that were at that meeting felt like 10 was enough. And if it's an appropriate time to do so, could we make a motion?
I think it has to come to, we have to.
You're gonna probably want an amendment to
Yeah, we're gonna-
an ordinance.
Yeah, we'll have to go to ordinance, get it amended. You're right, as, you know, we'll kind of come together, hopefully in the near future. I think next council meeting would be good for us to really start talking about what we want to see. We know what the citizens want. Let's start answering to those. We know what the food truck vendors want. I think, you know, they're doing business. We want them to continue doing business. We just need to figure out how we want those regulated so that we can all have a good experience. And we'll be coming back.
So possibly by the next meeting, we can start working on that and have an
We
ordinance.
definitely start working on it and probably.
Well, I need
we
some
can-
direction.
Yeah, you
So,
have the direction.
Would the direction come at the next meeting, or
We could do the direction today if you want.
give me
yeah.
direction now?
And
I mean, I would like to
that's-
see the city limit.
Let me ask
Okay.
you, Rich, are you ready, or
I
I haven't really
really
had an
think-
opportunity to
Yeah,
dig
my
into it?
whole thing is, we're a week away from elections.
Yeah.
Just less than a week, Mayor, you have 2 new people, and who knows, and I really think you ought to wait till the full council's in place.
Put it on the agenda anyway.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
we
good
can get it
option.
on
I
next
mean, you can't
agenda.
just vote, you know, when it's not, I don't think it be.
Well, because it would have to be an ordinance, you'd have to go through the whole process.
Exactly. So, I think we can put it on the next agenda. I think Chris has already wrote down there. We'll discuss that and hopefully get you some direction. Give the opportunity for the council to actually do some more research on it as well. Yes, ma'am?
This question, would you be able to at least put in place a change of use notice to residents? Because what they've happened, even though it's residential, commercial, multi-use, the fact that the community had have known what was about to happen on 27, at least there would have been some engagement like most other properties. That didn't happen. The trucks just appeared.
We did
Is there a way to do
discuss
that?
that. It is on our list.
Okay,
So we
thank
will
you.
look into that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay. Any other citizens? Everybody good? All right. Okay, first off, I want to apologize to Chris. I told last night, I sent him an email, and he's supposed to have me this list. Well, I went back and looked, he went back and looked as well. I went back and looked on mine, I couldn't find it. So I went back and looked at my personal email, and I had a bounce back of it, because the city has my personal email blocked. So it did not make it to him. So I apologize, Mr. Hubbard, for that. Next time I'll make sure it went under the city and not my personal email, okay? Again, I think we had a great meeting last night. The workshop was very successful, very enlightening. I want to say that, you know, we've got a great city. We've got great employees. We got great citizens, which you are the city. So I want to just thank everybody for working so well together last night and in the past, and all our employees are great. I tell you, you couldn't go out and hand pick. I used to say, when I found my husband, I said, if all of them had been lined up there and I had to pick him, or, you know, I had to choose somebody, I probably wouldn't have picked him. God picked him for me. I think God's taking care of our city, and I think we're doing a great job of coming together and making the city work for everybody. Mr. Wood.
The only thing I had, P&Z, you're attending the P&Z meetings?
Yes, sir.
Plan on attending them? in the
I'll
future?
attend whatever meetings you want me to, I just, so far.
I mean, that's your plan, you're not planning on doing Zooms or anything like that, you're gonna attend them? physically.
My current plan is to attend planning and zoning meetings, yes.
Is there a difference if you attend a meeting in your rate? If we have you there physically for the P and Z meeting versus a Zoom?
My
is there a
hourly rate stays the same, doesn't matter Zoom or personal.
Then I think we ought to find out, we ought to, from the council, we ought to make it mandatory that he said at the meeting versus Zoom.
I don't think there's been any problem with me.
I'm saying
There's only
for the
been
future.
one, and,
Yeah, you've only been to one. I'm saying for the future, if you're gonna be there, I would suggest the council have them there physically if we're paying them.
I'm not a big proponent of Zoom. I will tell you that when I listen on Zoom to meetings, and I'm requested to do that from time to time by a number of clients, it's difficult because people start talking at the same time, and depending on the acoustics of the room, I may not be able to hear real well. So if it's,
To my point.
if it's an important meeting such as a P and Z meeting, then I would prefer actually to.
Yeah.
Good deal.
And actually, I didn't have him come to the workshop because I knew we were doing voting. There was no need to be paying $300 an hour to have them sit. We didn't need any legal advice. So I think on those types of meetings where we don't physically need any legal advice or that can be moved, legal opinions can be moved to another meeting that is a regular meeting, then that is.
Yes, sir. I'll attend whatever meetings you and the mayor and the administrator want me to attend.
Good? You good? You got any comments? Good. All right.
Well, thank you, Mayor, and Council, City Administrator, City Clerk, and everyone else here. I appreciate the opportunity to come and participate in hopefully making Mexico Beach a better place and assist you in your legal questions that you have and writing whatever ordinances I'm directed to write or resolutions. I am pleased to see that you all are at least seemingly moving in positive directions. You've got things going on with your audits that are very important, and those I cannot stress enough have to be complied with. The City of Parker had a similar backlog of audits. They use Carr, Riggs & Ingram as their auditor, and they were their particular partner that did their audits for many years. He was able to discuss it with the state and make sure everything was in good order so that as the audits were completed, they would be accepted and the city could move on. So it's very important from your standpoint to do that, to make sure that your audits are done on a timely basis. And there will probably be, I won't call them red flags, but there'll probably be exceptions on that, on every audit on a small city. You're just gonna have them. I mean, your staffing can never be enough to accommodate all the checks and balances you would like to have. So, don't get discouraged about that, but anyway, I'm pleased to be here, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have or any that may come up in the future.
One more thing, Chris, going back to point band fiber optics and the damage that was done to the streets in the city, how will they address that, the damage that they did to our city?
That's one of the things that Mr. Glenn spoke about whenever he was up there, is we worked with them to do the bores over on, you just said the street. Colorado, in order to get rid of the 2-inch line that was constantly breaking, tie everybody in on Colorado onto the 6-inch line. So we just traded out, you know, the damage that was caused by them that they were responsible for them to do the bores. Those bores normally start off at $2,500 a piece, and as you order more or buy more, then they get less expensive. But I believe Tommy told me that the last time that they looked, even at the low end of the scale, it's $1,350 per bore. And so we saved
We had 7 bores.
Yeah, so, the city came out on the better end of that trade, because not every water line break, not every cut in the road was their responsibility. Some of it was, they hit lines that we didn't know existed, some of it wasn't marked correctly, some of them, didn't get marked at all. There was one at, the intersection of Maryland where, they'd gone out and the water and department had gone out and flagged that area, and then someone pulled up the flags because the flags weren't there, and so they had hit that. I know it sounds like a lot because we had citizens come in here and complain about water lines being hit and gas lines being hit, but that's not 100%, not every one of those were the fault of the contractor. There's other hands in that pot. So, again, the city came out on the better end of the deal between the bores and what damages they would have been responsible for.
Well, when, like, on 3rd Street, that's a major street repair there. I've been getting a lot of citizen comments on that. When will we get that one repaired?
And Third Street, I believe, was our fault, was it? The intersection.
No, they broke a water main there and it flooded the people's garage, and it was like a lake within a matter of minutes.
Oh, yeah.
And that was their problem, but, I mean, that intersection right there is of 3rd and Orleanda is really, really a bad situation.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I was out there, in fact, I stayed out there, until probably 9 PM that night with the guys as they were working, but the contractors did come out, they took care of all the damages and the mess that they made in the person's garage who lived there, but I think the break itself was the city's fault. We didn't have it marked properly. I can't remember the exact, what happened there, but it wasn't their fault that they hit that line.
They tried to work with us when we contacted them on the project. They were very receptive to trying to work with us.
You said that we had a paving grant of $175,000?
Not a grant, it was budgeted.
Our budget, okay.
To pave Hadley, and then, as I said, that should be enough money for us to pave all these other.
So, do you remember when, you weren't here, I don't think, but do y'all remember when Oleander was paved and it was really expensive? Like the short side behind Killer? Do you remember that by chance? Wasn't it really super expensive?
I think it was like $15,000 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I just saw that, invoice
So
actually.
that was a very short section. What is our plan? That's fine. I knew it was in the thousands for a little short road.
That was something that the, JLAC was requesting, I remember seeing that invoice, so I think it was around that.
Tommy called around and got quotes at when the city was working on the budget, and correct me, Tommy, if I'm wrong, but I believe it was somewhere around $70,000 to pave just Hatley Drive.
Okay.
And so that's gonna leave over $100,000 to take care of.
50 for half.
Okay, 50,000.
That was the last I got now, it may have went up, that was about a year ago.
Right.
50,000.
Okay, so do you know how many roads, areas, are we just like patching them, or are we like paving them, or, because there's big cutouts, and then there's gravel there, in several places throughout the city, especially on the east side that I've noticed.
I've asked the Public Works Department to compile all this as they're going around town. Anywhere there's a break or a cut in the asphalt, to let us know, write it down, compile that list. Doesn't matter if it was done during the fiber optic project, or, we've done it doing water and sewer breaks that had nothing to do with fiber optic, or if it's just, as the individual stated earlier on Fortner, where there's damage on the road edge because of construction, but we're gonna take care of all that.
Okay, so we're gonna get a list, and we're gonna make sure as we're going to get that done, and we're not gonna go over our budget on that.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
very good.
And each area will be handled differently. I would prefer to see, at least a large section patched so that it lasts longer, and I just filled the cut. So, we're gonna do it right.
We appreciate that. Okay, you wanna continue talking? Do you have anything for us?
Just a couple of things real quick. With the blood drive, I want to thank all the citizens who came out and participated in the blood drive earlier this month. In February, we had 19 total. Of those, I think 16 were city employees. This time we had 25 total, and out of the 25, 14 were citizens. So only 11 employees showed up at that event. But as I mentioned before, for every one person that donates blood, you can possibly save 3 lives, so that's potentially 75 lives there. So I do appreciate the citizens who came out and participated in that. Next event that I want to talk about is our Easter extravaganza. First and foremost, publicly, I want to thank Julie. Julie there at City Hall did all the coordination. So in addition to being a graphic designer, she's also a great event planner.
You need another second job?
Yeah, if anybody-
This one, but we'll let you have
This one's funny. Thank you. This one's funny.
But she coordinated everything and you know, took that load off of me, and I greatly appreciate her for doing that. But in addition to her, we had, you know, Vanessa helped out, Randy, Tommy's guys, you know, helped get everything set up. Sheriff's Office Lieutenant, he was out there cooking away, you know, that day. We had a huge turnout if you were out there. I don't know how many people were there, but I'm pretty sure the population of Mexico Beach doubled during that event. There was a lot of people, and it was a huge, huge success.
And Mexico Beach Sweets.
Mexico Beach Sweets. Chris and Susan Kamak, they donated all the Easter eggs. They donated the ice cream and gave free ice cream to all the children and anybody else who wanted it out there. So yeah, huge, huge thank you to them.
And fire department is there.
And the fire department was there. As was mentioned earlier, we had one of those guys dressed up as the Easter Bunny. So it was just a huge event.
That was
and-
the initiation, wasn't it?
Probationary firefighter, yes.
So thank you to everybody who came out. Thank you to everybody who participated and helped with the event. It was greatly appreciated, and people are already looking forward to next Easter. And the last thing I want to discuss is something that Mr. Smith brought up, and that's the rereads. Now that Carr Riggs and Ingram have brought our finances up to the current level, it's possible for me to get a grasp on where we're at as far as our budget's concerned, and we're going to be addressing some of these issues that we weren't for sure, you know, where the money was or what pot we would need to pull it out of. Those rereads are going to be one of the items. Probably in May, we'll let the new city council, because as Mr. Wolf has stated, we're going to have at least two new members on the council. So we'll let them get situated in the month of April. In May, I'll be bringing some items, you know, to get approved. Some of those will be budgeted. There's other items that haven't been budgeted that, you know, such as the deal with the rereads on the water meters. Purchasing that number of rereads is going to require a budget amendment. Want to go ahead and get that started once we finalize what type of meters we want to go with. But then there's some other items that I also want to bring to the council and just start, you know, moving the city forward, start working on things that originally I'd written down to budget in the next fiscal year, but I think they're important enough to at least bring it to the council and try to get them started as soon as possible. And so if any of the council, or for that matter, if any of the candidates want to come by City Hall and talk about those issues between now and May, I'd recommend you do so. And we'll discuss everything, and like I said, it'll be brought in front of the council at some point in the very, very near future. That's all I have now.
All right. So, anybody else before we adjourn? All right, I take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Yes, we are adjourned. Thank you.